two, one. So, first of all, what is your name?
Eric.
Eric, nice to meet you. I'm Christian.
How's it going, man?
That's good. So, the first question I have for you is, do you believe in God? And if so, why?
I would say I'm agnostic, so I believe in a higher power. Like, you know, there's something above that guides us and steers us in the right direction. Yeah.
Okay, so that higher power that you believe in, does that have much influence on your life? Like,
yeah, like I believe obviously that you know, I didn't believe like when we started in Earth, when we human beings first became on Earth, start again.
We'll cut it out.
So I believe basically when you know the first things that happen in the world, right? He said that we started from a Big Bang Theory, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe on that. I believe that, you know, there is something behind all of life.
Like a creator.
Like a creator. Something that steers us and helps us, you know, and guide us and takes us in the right direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you raised in a particular faith?
Yeah. I was Christian, born Christian, but eventually I moved on to agnostic.
Okay, what made you move on to agnostic?
Just, you know, questioning life and really indulging in the Christian faith and the culture side of things made me not want to subscribe to that, but I also didn't want to subscribe to the Big Bang Theory as well. So the midpoint where I you know, eventually landed was, you know, being agnostic.
Okay. So what was it about the Christian faith particularly that was like kind of like, oh no, that's not for me?
I just think that's just general culture side of things. I don't think that you know, people are that genuine, and you know, there's a business side of, you know, being a Christian and the cultural side of things, and I don't really subscribe to that as much. I believe that, you know, if you have faith, you can practice that in your own, you know, at your own time, at your own pace, and with me not having concrete evidence of there being, you know, something called Christianity, and you know that people, whatever people believe in, is deemed to be true. The midpoint from that is agnostic.
Okay. So for me, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And I would say for me, the concrete proof is Jesus.
Okay.
So I put my faith in him. So obviously you was once a Christian. So at one point, did you have faith in Jesus?
So that's a tough question. So I did have faith, but I believe that family had a big, strong hold of that. You know, so being raised in a Christian family, you obviously being guided into, you know, what your faith is, and I feel that shaped a lot of my beliefs and my thought processes at that time. And as you go, as you mature, certain elements come into play, and then you are able to make your own decisions and have a deeper thought into things, and then that's where, you know, you can like see where you fit in the most. You know? And I'm not saying that I am an atheist, but you know, I believe that, you know, there is a higher power. You know, there's probably elements of, you know, of Christianity in that being agnostic, but it isn't, you know, no one has full 100% proof of anything, and that's why the midpoint is where I like.
Okay. So when you say about a higher power, how do you believe that that's a being?
So it's not a being, it's like the spiritual, like it's something that we don't have, it's not tangible, it's not like concrete that this is it, but you know, as we don't have proof of anything in life, this spiritual power or this way of belief that I have is shaped by, you know, me being more of a spiritual person than you know, scientific based.
Yeah. What I was trying to get to is like, do you interact with that higher power that you believe in?
Yeah, I think like there's certain elements, like, you know, when I sit down and I meditate and I you know, have my own space to really delve deep into my thoughts, and I really think, right, you know what, in life, how did this all come about? Is there such thing as a Big Bang Theory? And if there is such a thing as a Big Bang Theory, is there concrete proof of it? If I can't prove that, you know, I need to find where I lay from there on. And you know, I haven't found solid proof in Christianity to that extent. I do think that there is a lot of benefits. There are a lot of benefits to subscribe to Christianity and all the other religions, not just Christianity, you know, Muslims as well, and you know, other denominations out there, you know, but I just think that if you can prove something to me, I will have a deeper opinion on it. And if you can't prove it to the way I want it to be proved, you know, I will find a mid-ground level, and that's why that idea has become ingrained in me, and I subscribe to that essentially because of that.
Okay. So I would like to share with you my reasons that I believe in Jesus.
Okay.
Because there is evidence to suggest that Jesus not only lived, but was then crucified and then resurrected.
Well, give me the evidence.
Okay, so I'd say the first one for me is the disciples.
Okay.
So think about when we're talking about evidence, right? Imagine you're in a courtroom. What do they ask for? Testimony.
Yeah.
They ask for witnesses.
Yeah.
That's what the Gospels are. They are eyewitness testimonies.
Eyewitness testimony.
Eyewitness
From
testimony.
hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
Thousands of years ago.
The disciples, these are manuscripts from what they have written.
But that's man-made, right? So it could be fabricated.
Oh, okay, of course. However, there's thousands of manuscripts all speaking about the same thing. So,
How can you verify that that is a genuine manuscript that is, you know, is proven? Because obviously there is elements of that I could say could be falsifiable, right? We could say that you don't have proof that manuscript actually is concrete and is true because you are not there, and you don't have an eyewitness testimony of someone that was actually there that can actually vouch that, right? So why are you so confident in that belief when you don't have that in-depth proof that I would want essentially work from?
okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's not just the disciples that claim that Jesus was killed and then resurrected. Even in the Bible it talks about Pontius Pilate, and there's many other people.
Pontius Pilate, right?
Yeah, Pontius Pilate. And there's many other people that wrote about Jesus and they were not followers of Jesus. I can't recall it off my head, but if you look into it, there were many different, even the kings at the time, they were mentioning about Jesus. And
But this is something that you've learned.
yeah, I have learned.
Yeah?
But I wasn't raised in the faith. I wasn't raised Christian. So that's the difference between you and I, perhaps, because I didn't get raised with faith or learning about these things. It
But
was
you've essentially come to this, you've subscribed to this notion based on what you've learned about your understanding of Christianity. Someone gave you that information, right?
See, I would have to disagree.
Because you're saying you have concrete proof that these manuscripts are
See, I didn't say proof.
Right.
I said there's evidence.
evidence.
Yeah,
But evidence
but
is still.
evidence is you cannot prove anything. I can't prove that I'm real right now, but the evidence suggests that I am real.
So
you know what I'm saying?
So yeah, but you
so
read.
we can only go off the evidence that I have.
And you read this somewhere, right?
Read what?
Yeah, so this what you told me about the Pontius,
yes.
right? This is something that you read in a book, or a mentor, probably someone told you about this and gave you this information, right? So from that, if information is relayed in that kind of way, there is elements that could say that could be not true.
Of course. Right? And then we have to go to the validity of the words that Jesus said. So this is where most of my faith is in. The fact that I'm reading things.
But you said the key word there, faith.
Yes, it is faith.
Faith is faith.
It's not 100%.
Yeah.
And I admit that.
Yeah.
And that's why most Christians suffer with doubt. And that's why I say to people that I think the fact that us Christians have doubt shows that we are open-minded. A lot of people, and I respect yourself because you said if I'd have enough proof or the word evidence, then I would be, swayed.
Yeah.
A lot of people, you could tell them everything about everything, and they just don't want to believe. That's the difference. But with me, it wasn't by what I learned.
Does that make you?
Just to share a bit about my testimony. So I was raised an atheist in a non-religious household, and I really was anti-religion completely.
Why was that?
Really, because the way that the world represents faith and religion, and even yourself, when you said about what you've seen in the churches, and there's a lot of false pastors, false prophets that are exploiting people. That's a real thing. So I was just like, nah, this is all make-believe. People just, them ones where people say, oh, they just need it to get through life. I was kind of like that, but I had an encounter with Jesus that was so undeniable to me.
An encounter. So Jesus was there with you.
I felt the presence of God, and I knew it was Jesus. And okay, so I'll quickly explain that story. So to cut a long story short, like I said, I was an atheist, and I had a near-death experience where I was almost murdered. And then out of that, I realized, oh, I'm not living in purpose. And if I was to have died in those moments, I would have had nothing but regret for my life. Because I wasn't living for anything or anyone. I was just going wherever the wind blew me. So then out of that, I said to myself, I need to find meaning or die trying. And that led me down a route of philosophy and psychology.
I mean, I did psychology as well. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I majored in. I did psychology, and I got masters in sports and exercise psychology, more in the exercise and sports side of things. But I do think that from what you've told me, I think certain people need, religion to sort of guide and steer them into the right path, because it gives you a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and give you how would I say it? It gives you direction, essentially, right? Because obviously they're from the Ten Commandments and what the Christian religion actually what it preaches. There are some good, valuable things in there, right? Like, respect your parents and don't commit murdering, don't commit adultery. All these things help society in general. But I could also argue from the other perspective that you could be, an individual that can, subscribe to these ideas also with, you having the right sort of guidance from, external influences, maybe family or a right peer group, and then you can essentially shape your worldview in a positive way without religion. You can use religion as well, that could help you, but also there is a possibility that you can do it also without it. Now obviously for you didn't have purpose, and religion formed a good foundation in terms of...
Can I just stop you there?
Yeah.
It wasn't religion.
What was it?
It was relationship with Jesus.
Yeah, so that's
the difference. But even if you look in the Bible, Jesus was rebuking the religious leaders. He was saying, you people that are pretending or playing church or pretending to be holier than thou, you aren't entering the kingdom of heaven. He literally said, the prostitutes and harlots will enter before you. So it's not about religion. Christ did not preach religion. He preached relationship with God. He literally said to these religious leaders, he said, you praise God with your lips, but your heart is far from Him. So with me, like you said, you can have a relationship with God at home. You don't need the church.
Yeah.
But the reason I go to church is the same reason I went to school. It's because there's a teacher there, the pastor, that knows more than me, that can help me and guide me. And then there's other students, like my brothers here, that we're in the faith together. We're all learning the same thing.
I think
so we're there to encourage each other.
So you built a community. So
Yes.
so what it is essentially, this is a community that there's a bunch of brothers that's come together with something positive to spread out in the world. That is a good foundation. That is a good thing to subscribe to. But my question is, you said you had a one-to-one with Jesus. Explain to me what did he do?
Okay.
Did he come and sit down with you and say, let's go have lunch? And what's going on there?
Okay, so I was like halfway through the testimony, so I had the near-death experience, needed purpose, and
So you were lost in that.
yeah, I didn't
And
have
obviously,
purpose.
and then at that point,
But
you're
it
saying
was-
you're more vulnerable to subscribe to something as opposed to someone who was not in that situation.
But this is the thing.
Because I could argue that as well, right?
Can I? So the thing is, when I said I was looking for purpose, at that point I did not believe in God. I did not believe that was a route to follow. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I was like, oh, let me try and look for that God. It was no. I said to myself, I want to pursue the path of truth, and whatever that truth reveals itself to me, I will follow. And what I used to grapple with was despair. Because I was an atheist, I used to say I don't believe in anything. When I die, I'm just space dust. We're not here for a meaning or a purpose. We're just here to be happy and kind of be good people, and then that's that. But that left me with despair in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, I could also argue that most people who don't have a purpose in life, let alone subscribing to a religion, who don't have an impact in the world, and they just existing. Most people that like that, they're depressed. Essentially, like if you ask any retiree, like someone who's retired, worked a bunch of years, how do they feel after they've retired in the first 5-10 years? Most of them, they almost committed suicide. Like they're like, what's the point? That's why there's with men, they feel the need to sort of be the provider and subscribe to this notion of being the person that creates the family and looks after the family and really strive for that because it gives them meaning, essentially. And because you didn't have that, the probability of subscribing to Christianity, which was, you could have subscribed to something else completely, right? The probability of you doing that is heightened now, and it's proven to be good because you've gone into a good path and you're spreading the word of God. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's the only path. That's what I'm trying to say.
And this is why, so I was getting to the fact that after I had this despair in my heart, and I used to say, like, what is the point in living if there's no purpose? Not in an emotional way at all, it was a logical way. I'm suffering right now, why put up with it if I'm just going to die? And then I end up speaking to a friend, she was saying about how there's so much purpose in serving a higher purpose, yada yada yada. That was a 3-hour long conversation. And in that moment, I felt the presence of God. She did not say to me, oh.
So you felt something warm or something? What are you trying to say?
It was a wholeness. It was a wholeness. That's the only way I can describe it. A wholeness that filled me. And
basically, what I want to say, the presence of God is something that you can't express it to anyone. You just have to feel it. You have to really ask God.
Yeah, so that's where the element of faith comes in, right?
Yeah.
So like that's one thing that I struggle to grapple with is living with faith without having, because I'm a man of facts sometimes. I like something that's concrete that I can say this is this because of, it's been, I can vouch for it. There is something that proves gives it that, the bolsters its truth, like that. Like I've seen it happen, or we've seen it, eyewitness testimony, something out there that proves it. But I also can see from another person's perspective, in terms of if you're really low, faith can take you up from the run, right? I understand the mechanics of that. Like I would rather have someone have faith or work through something with thinking that, all right, there is a meaning behind this. Are we just living just for in the world just to die and that's it? And part of me, probably 50% of me, is probably why I'm driven to the agnostic side of things, right? Because I could have been completely on the other side of the spectrum, right? I could have been complete atheist, but I struggle to grapple with that as well. And that's why it's you're saying about these manuscripts and all this, all of that. And my response to all of that is, you were not there, and there was no one there. This is all
some people there.
Okay, they could have been there, but nothing is solidified with factual evidence, and the faith you have is very good because it's driving you to spread something that's positive, but you can't argue that the fact that it is faith based.
But what I would say to that, sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't believe in Jesus through writings, through these things. Jesus said things like, when you lay hands on the sick and you pray for them in my name, they shall be healed.
But you read that from somewhere, or someone told you?
From the Bible.
Yeah, so you
But, so then how do we test anything? If I say to you,
because the Bible is man-made, right?
If I say to you this is going to happen if you do this, then what are you going to do? You're going to test what I say, right? That's what I did to Jesus. I didn't just, I have the presence of God, now just following everything. No. Of course, I was skeptic. I was more skeptic than you. So I had to say to myself, okay, if Jesus is saying you can lay your hands on the sick and they'll be healed, let me do it. God has used me to heal people.
So you're healing people, right?
And my church as well.
You're healing people?
Yes. But it's not me. It's faith.
So what are you healing them from? Cancer or not? What's that?
People have been healed from all sorts of things.
So
you can even look at my TikTok.
So you're a spiritual healer?
So I won't call it a spiritual healer. It's Jesus Christ. When you believe in Him, you have His Spirit within you. Yeah. And He said, when you lay your hands on the sick and you say, in the name of Jesus, be healed, He said, they shall be healed.
There's other aspects that I feel like human beings are driven into, right? There's another element I would say of fear. What if I was wrong? Right? What if I subscribed to this agnosticism, or I was atheist, and we died, or the person died, and I was wrong. That's another angle that drives people to subscribe to certain things like religion and so forth as well, because human beings, we don't have the full information of what exactly is going on, right? So there's a fear element, there is obviously trying to subscribe to a purpose. There's all these angles that come into play to identify what drives someone, right? To subscribe to something to that extent. But I respect the fact that having a middle ground with you, I respect the fact that you found something that has led you to being positive, but I won't agree with the fact that you know everything.
I know, I'm the first person to tell you I don't know everything.
And saying that this is what Jesus said and I was there and you're wrong.
No, I didn't say that at all, and I hope I didn't come across as that.
Okay.
I was just saying that when I first started to read the Bible and Jesus was saying certain things, I was like, okay, cool, let me test it.
Yeah, so that Bible was man-made, right?
Of course, every book's been man-made.
Yeah. So you tested something from something that's man-made.
So why did something be man-made make it invalid?
Because humans are driven by all sorts of things. Right? They have different interests, right? They have, they could want to spread the message because of whatever reason. I mean, I've read different perspectives. People saying that religion was spread in Africa because they wanted for them to be in a certain mindset so that they could be slaves, easily be slaves and so forth. There's interest that drives human beings to do something, right? Some of them can be monetary based, some of them can be, they want to spread an agenda. It could be so many ways.
And this is why I use the example of the disciples as an example of evidence. Because, think about this.
So you were there with the disciples?
No, I didn't say that. The disciples, you do realize everyone but one of those disciples was brutally murdered and tortured for the faith that they said that they had.
But you read this stuff. You read some of this.
I did read this stuff, but my point is that they had no gain in writing these things down. The
How do you know?
Because they were murdered for it. There was no monetary gain.
How do you know someone was murdered?
Because this is written down in historical
But it's
evidence.
man-made, right?
But okay, let me ask you: did Hitler exist?
So
How do we verify that anybody existed?
Exactly. So here's where we get really you look at things and start questioning them in a really insightful way. There's things being written down that the person who went to the moon was, what's his name? It's not on top of my head. The first person to the moon, what's his name? Neil Armstrong, right? There's pictures that said that there were some people before him being written down. There's like written in books, certain books. There were people where someone before him was went to the moon and they discovered it beforehand, and there's different pictures showing loads of things. What you have, the reason why I believe in Hitler a little bit more is because there was like video evidence, right? We saw where the camps were, Jews were murdered. This is something that is a little bit more concrete, and I can subscribe to that because this happened in 2-3 generations ago, right?
You do realize the most amount of written manuscripts we have for any single person that's ever lived is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I do.
So then, based off of that, the most amount of physical evidence is that Jesus Christ, a person named Jesus Christ, existed. Period. Whether you believe him to be the Son of God or not, but in terms of just the validity of a person named Jesus Christ and the message and all these things, there's the most amount of people that wrote about him. More than Hitler, more than any other person.
Yeah, I would say that because of religion, that there's a high likelihood that is the case.
I don't think it's religion, I think it's impact. The impact
Well,
that
obviously
Jesus
that-
was having in a place is bigger than any man. Let me ask you this.
But Hitler was only a couple of generations with religion, like Christianity and religion and so forth. You're talking about a long,
But then you got to ask,
long time.
how did Jesus have that much impact if he was just a guy?
I don't know.
And this is where we get to the understanding of,
So
there's something to this.
So your agenda, what is it that you're trying to say to me? I should believe what you're trying to tell me.
Well, I don't force it on nobody. I'm here to interview people, ask where their faith is, and share the gospel as well. Share the gospel
And say
and
that
also
is definitely true.
No, I believe this to be true.
And if I don't believe it, I'm missing out on something.
Well, I think yes, if you don't have Jesus in your life,
I'm missing out.
I would say yes, because Jesus has definitely transformed my life.
Yeah.
And it's given me a lot of peace, a lot of purpose, and all of these things.
And then-
about.
and if-
So if you don't have that, I'd say there's another layer to peace and purpose that you can have. I'm not saying that you don't have it. You seem like you have a lot of peace, and you know.
How do you know? How do you know?
But you don't, you say.
How do you know? Because you're just
No,
looking at me.
I'm just saying, I'm making an assumption. I'm not saying you do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you seem like you might do, I guess.
Okay.
My point is, isn't that nobody in Jesus Christ has any type of peace? Of course not. But I think true peace is found in God, and I think true purpose is found in God as well. The Bible says that vanity of vanities, all is vanity. And that's where I was at as an atheist. You can put your purpose in job, you can put your purpose in family, but at the end of the day, all of these things are perishing. But the thing to me that doesn't perish is God. And I think that's the only being, higher power, if you want to call him that.
That's why we
that
both.
won't
That's when we
perish.
both. That's when we agreed to some degree. I subscribe to that. Is like in the grand scheme of things, yes. At the end, above all of that, there is something that a higher power. I'll call it. You call it God. So we have a different identity to what we subscribe to.
Yeah.
Yours is based on a manuscript. Mine is
It's not just manuscript, it's everything.
manuscript, and all these, testimonies that you tried to tell me, right? And mine's more based on really questioning things in terms of in this world, is this all there is?
That's the questions I was asking myself, and it led me to Jesus. And what I'd say is, would you be open to the fact that Jesus could be real?
If you prove it to me,
Okay. Can I pray for you that you would have an encounter with him? Would that be okay?
you can pray for all of us. I would say that would probably be a better angle. Not just me, myself. I feel very single now.
Well, that's just because we're having a conversation.
I feel like I am the bad person. I think we should pray for everyone. I'll feel a lot more.
And you can decline as well, but what I wanted to pray for, because you say that you don't believe in God, you believe in a higher power, you don't believe in Jesus. So I just want to pray that if Jesus is real, like I say, that you have an encounter with him that's undeniable. But you don't have to, that's why I wanted to pray for you specifically.
I have to go away.
You have to go?
Yeah, I have to go away.
Alright, well, thank you for your time.
No
I
worries.
appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, no worries. Was that